like to invite our team to come on up. And what we'd like to do tonight is share from the entire group a little bit about what happened, what we did throughout the trip. What you just saw are all of the pictures that do not involve ministry, all the crazy stuff. And then we have a video at the very end that just goes through the entire portion of ministry that we had while we were there. We were in country for 9 days. Of that 9 days, we spent 8 days straight in ministry and then took 1 day to rest and ride the elephants and the oxen, whatever. So 8 days of ministry. In that 8 days, we had 6 English camps. We got to visit the Hmong church. We got to pray over mothers in a small worker village. It was Mother's Day, which is the Queen's birthday. We got to pray over mothers and their families and pass out flowers. We got to do a Bible study with some of the migrant workers that are undocumented citizens. What else did we do? I think I'm missing 2 other things that I'm totally drawing a blank on. But within that 8 days, 6 of those days, or 6 in... That was one of the English camps. 6 of them were English camps, and so we were literally going nonstop, including travel time to and from Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai to the cities up in northern Thailand. So what we're going to do is try and give you our best understanding of what happened while we were there in Thailand, how God used us, how God changed our hearts, and hopefully we can share some of that experience with you, because we are so very grateful and thankful for all of you who helped support us financially and with prayer while we were gone and as we were getting ready for the trip. So we'll start off. Let's take the microphone and we'll pass it down as you talk. But what I'd like each of us to share to start off was our most exciting part of the trip and how Thailand is different from what we normally experience in the United States.
I would say that the most exciting part of the trip for me was really just making connections with the people there. We came across just some really, really amazing people who have dedicated their lives to God, and even those who hadn't gotten there yet, people just are really welcoming there. And like when we went to pass out flowers for Mother's Day, we gave them flowers and apples, and it's like you would knock on the door and they would just quickly invite you in and give you water. And it's just kind of different in that regard from what we see in the United States, where you might go knock on a door and they'll just say no thank you and shut the door. We actually had nobody who said no or no, I'm not interested. They just welcomed us in, and everyone allowed us to pray for them. So that's definitely one way that I saw things differently from here.
My exciting experience is learning Thai language. It's my very first time talking to Thai people in Chiang Rai and Chiang Mai. And what I found very enjoyable is that we have a great time with the little children in Freedom 418. And I'm very excited to listen to them talking English for the first time. And it's like, it gives me so much joy when I listen to them talking English.
My most exciting experience of this trip is the English camp. I got the chance to work with the kids. These kids are so eager to learn English and hear the gospel. Well, what is different experience in the U.S. is there's 2 schools that we went and visit. The students are very welcoming. They will say hello to you. They're really respectful for us.
My most exciting experience was getting to visit the country that I was born in, and having really to experience the Thai culture that I didn't grew up with. And I think the difference is how people treated each other. They are not quick to judge, and they are very gracious people.
My most exciting experience of the trip was also English camp and sharing the gospel to the students. And the way that it's different from the U.S. is that we have to take our shoes off before entering the building, because that's the way of respect in Thailand. So that's what's exciting.
One of my excited moments was when I entered the Hmong village and I get to speak Hmong. And they thought I was not Hmong, so I was asking around and asked if they are Hmong, and they said, yes, we are. And I just start having a long conversation with one of the mother there. She showed us around the village, and she also took us in to her home, and I get to take photos with her. And also, one of the moment I had was when I was with the grandma on the picture. She was telling me that she was waiting to die, but when I was there, she said I was just to make her day, and she said that she will have a longer life when she hold my hand. So I made her day that day, and we also enjoy going around the Hmong village and seeing the difference from there and here. So that's one of my excited moments.
My most exciting experience of the trip is that I've traveled to 3 countries so far, and the different experience is their cultures that is different from the U.S.
When you get to visit with Hmong, half of our team is Hmong. When you get to visit with Thai people, they are very respectful, and it makes me sad for the days when we used to have more respect in America, because when you're in conversation with a Thai person, they bow to say hello, they graciously welcome you, they will bend over backward to give you anything. And then if you happen to do something wrong, you commit a cultural faux pas, they don't care. And they just excuse it with laughter and smiles, and they move on with their day. Absolutely amazing. I would say when you mentioned the Hmong village, you girls were in your element for sure, speaking Hmong with one of the within the church village. There was a church as a part of the larger village, and we got to walk through that village. One of my favorite pictures that was in the video was the picture of, I believe it was Pa, holding hands with one of the ladies as she was giving us a tour, because they were just so welcoming to open it up to us. So to explain a couple of things, you've mentioned Freedom 418. Freedom 418 is a mission in Chiang Mai to help children of mothers who have been sold into slavery, sexual slavery. And what they do is they work with the children to bring the children into a warm and loving house, to teach them English, to do crafts and games, and then eventually some of the mothers will start showing up. And the day that we were waiting, when you saw all the rain fall, and we were waiting for Freedom 418 to do ministry, or for the rain to stop so that we could go in and do ministry, one of the mothers showed up for the very first time. And that's just, I think, a great example of how they reach the parents through the children. The English camp, so we'll explain a little bit more about that. That happened in some schools and outside of some schools, in homes or in like Freedom 418, some of the other places. But the English camps were basically just fun, like what we would do for VBS or what we would do for Bible study here at the church, for Children's Church, but just on a larger scale with a whole bunch more kids, teaching them English and helping them to understand, because English is now the official trade language in Southeast Asia. The last thing I want to mention before we ask the next question is the family that cooked for us and that we stayed with, P. Ed and P. Fang and their family. They have 12 girls and 1 boy living in their house, and most of those girls have been rescued from slavery. They were taken or sold at a young age, and they were rescued, and he and his family have devoted their lives to rescuing girls. And I'll tell you a little bit more about some of that ministry. But when you hear P. Ed and P. Fang, those are the parents of the family that we stayed with when we were up in northern Thailand. All right, this one is for Julie and Hua. What was your favorite part of ministry throughout the trip?
My favorite part of the ministry is joining with the Meeting Point Ministry when we went to pass out flowers for Mother's Day at the Shang community in Chiang Mai, and we just got to encourage the mothers that God loves them for who they are.
My favorite part of the ministry throughout the trip was visiting and staying at Chiang Rai with the New Hope Home family. They were just welcoming and loving, and they provided us beds, foods, and mostly anything we needed. And I just love the time that I got to spend with the girls. As you see up in the pictures, they are just excited to get to know each other. And it took a while for us to get to know each other, but it was just a fun experience to get to open up to them and ask them questions. And I think we sometimes just take it for granted of just talking to somebody and asking how their life is. And I think that's just the most exciting and best part I've been over there.
For sure, when you're on a missions trip and your switch is turned on all the time, there's no I'm a Christian at church and I'm not a Christian at home. Like, you are constantly focused on engaging with people. And I would say when we engaged with people, we got to see people's hearts a lot faster than sometimes when we just walk into church, we sit down in the pew, we say hi to someone, and that's it. That's the extent of our interaction with them. When we were focused and engaged with people constantly, we got to see just how much they love other people, and it was very refreshing for us to just experience and engage in the love that they shared with each other. The next question for Bonnie and Pa, how did God speak to you throughout the trip? How did you see God move throughout the trip? And what is one way in which God touched your heart through another person?
I think for me, the most impactful people that I met were P-Ed and his wife, Fong. Just seeing how much they've dedicated their lives to ministry. I know P-Ed personally goes in to rescue these girls, goes into the brothels and takes them out and puts his life in jeopardy when he takes them from the situations that they're in and provides a home from them. Not only in his own home, but he does it also in Burma and Laos. He has 2 houses, one with 50 girls and one with 25 girls, and he provides the financial support for them, you know, the food, everything they need, and that's all out of his pocket. And it's amazing to see someone who has just thrown their life into rescuing others and just showing them a real life example of Jesus, pulling them from a horrible situation and giving them a chance for a new life. And then it just seemed like everywhere we went, you know, we'd be driving by and he'd say, oh, here's a place where I have a weekly meeting to encourage pastors, and here's the place. Like, we couldn't go anywhere without him pointing out a place where he does ministry on a regular basis. And it kind of convicted me because I tend to compartmentalize ministry. Like, this is like one of the things I do, and I also do this and this. But ministry just flows through every part of his life. He's constantly reaching others for Christ. And then his wife, Fong, I remember, like, getting up to go, because you have to go outside downstairs to use the bathroom at night, and it was like 2:33 in the morning, and she's already up preparing meals for the family, for all the girls she's taken in, for us, just up working hard, teaching all of her girls how to make jewelry so that they have a skill to make money with later in life, so they won't have to turn back to any of their former ways. She just really reminded me of the Proverbs 31 woman, just up early, doing everything she can for her family, and they really just touched my heart.
One experience that God was able to touch my heart is when joining the Hmong Church up in the mountains in Chiang Rai. I have a one-on-one conversation with an old Hmong lady named Shaw. And we went to her daughter's house, and so that's where I met her. And we started talking, and she just started explaining, just started talking about her life. And she's 70 years old, and she's really old, and she's really sick. She's been a believer for so long. She's been going to church, but then she stopped going, and that's because of her sickness and because of her age. She couldn't get up and go to church. And that's when she started crying. And that touches my heart. So I started crying. I couldn't hold back my tears. And that's when I got to pray over her along with Brian. And I started translating because I was speaking Hmong to her. And so I was translating English to Brian and Bonnie and Candace along with Linda. I'm just so happy and that I got the opportunity to pray over for her. Yeah.
Anyone else? How did Mania?
throughout the trip, putting my trust in the Lord is very important for me. And He had provided so much for us that for us to take to Thailand. And I'm going to read 4 verses in Matthew 6:31 through 34. Okay. So do not worry, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? For the pagans run after all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own.
Well, they passed the mic down. We did worry a lot about finances. Up until 1 week before the trip, we still were not fully funded. And I said, don't worry, we will get there. It will happen. And we got a check that allowed us to be 99% funded right before our trip, 1 week before the trip. We were flying over and completely exhausted, and we were wondering, how on earth are we going to do ministry when we are so completely exhausted? Well, we landed in China, and they gave us a hotel because we had a 10-hour layover. So they put us up in a hotel, and we got breakfast and an afternoon nap, I suppose. And then each time, as we were going throughout the trip, what are we going to do for this? What are we going to do for this? And the hand of God, you could just see his mighty work. He provided everything and put all the puzzle pieces together. Mania, thank you for sharing that verse, because that is the perfect description of how God worked the puzzle pieces in this trip. Linda.
For how God had speak to me throughout the trip was with New Hope Home, and how Pied have to risk his life to go spread the word of God to people every 3 months in Laos, which is like very dangerous for him. And he had to move like places to places every night in order to not get caught by the Laos government. And also, it's like a communist country over there. Also, what Pied told us that the Lao government know that the Christian people are good people, but they don't want the gospel to be spread because they want to control people's mind. Also, when we had a talk with Pied, and Brian asked him a question about doing what he's doing, like ministries. So Brian asked a question about how do Pied's wife think about him doing what he is doing? So he responded that his wife understands him fully, and she prays for him every day fully. And Pied told his wife when they get married, the life was a mission for God, which also touched my heart from that.
I saw his life, and I really started thinking of the Apostle Paul. When you read Acts and you read the New Testament and you see Paul's life and you see everything that he did, Paul was always going into the frontier of ministry. There's not a church there, I'm going to go there. There's not something happening, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go work here, I'm going to go work here. And that's what we saw with his family, is pushing out into the frontier where there are no churches or where it's dangerous. In the communist country, they have underground churches. In the last 5 years, he personally has overseen the growth of the home churches from 10 in 5 years to 197. To see the girls that have been rescued and the young boys that have been rescued personally going out into the frontier. It's dangerous, and so if you think about him, his name is Ed, and we just want to encourage him with prayer as often as possible. All right, the next one is for Chua and Linda. What is the spiritual condition of the Thai people? Is there something that shocked you about their religion or their culture?
One of the shocking thing that I saw when we went to this picture shows the stairways to the temple, which is the highest temple in the mountain of Chiang Mai, and we had to climb the stairs. It's not easy. We were huffing and puffing going up the stairs just to go to see like temples and Buddhas and idols. So they make like idols out of gold, which is very valuable to people, and that's their idols. And I see like little boys becoming like monks
devoted their lives to worship a God that is not, true. So that's one of the shocking things that I saw when I went up to the mountain, at this temple right here.
Well, they believe in Buddha and they don't see to have like the sense of who God is and how powerful God can change their life and do for them. So one thing that shocked me was when we went to their temple and prayed. But one thing that is sad about it was that these Thai people put their time and effort to build these temples to worship a God who doesn't even exist.
Yeah. Next question for Mainia and Bonnie. What are some of the main needs that Thailand has for ministry, and how do you think you or the church could help out in future ministry?
For these both questions, for the Thailand ministry and future ministry, I believe that the main needs are financial support and prayer. And as a church in Harmony, we should open up for the future ministry, and we should not close any doors for these opportunities.
Well, one of the things that is a big need is just to, obviously reach people for Christ. And we have a door open there through doing the English camps, because the schools want English speakers to come in and volunteer their time. And then you got your foot in the door, and while they're not religious schools, as long as you're teaching English and you're doing it for free, you can use whatever lessons you want. So this is an opportunity where you can go in and share the gospel. We were able to do Daniel in the Lion's Den and creation and the armor of God and different stories where you are reaching the kids on a spiritual level, and it's allowed because you're also teaching English at the same time. And then something else is financial support for Ed and the girls that he has in the home, because he actually sold some of his personal property in order to be able to pay rent for the rest of the year for the girls who are living in these homes and to be able to feed them every day. But those funds are going to run out. And he also would like to be able to buy sewing machines and equipment to make jewelry, and just so they have something that they can learn while they're there, so that they don't ever get tempted with, I have to go back and do what I was doing before. So that's one of our personal goals that we're going to be saving up to hopefully be able to give them the money to provide sewing machines and materials so they can learn a skill that will help them in their future.
What is one thing, this is for Julie, Chua, and Pa. What is one specific thing that you would like the church to know about the trip, and how would you encourage someone else to participate in future missions projects?
I just want to let the church know that thank you for all of you guys for praying for us. Everything went well because of God's guidance and having faith in Him. I would encourage someone else to participate in future mission projects by preparing your hearts to get ready to serve the Lord.
Well, one specific thing that I want the church to know about the trip is that thank you for all your financial support and your prayers, because God has blessed and protected us amazingly throughout the trip. And something I want to encourage someone else is that for them to be ready to have a servant heart and a servant attitude.
One of the specific thing I want to share or want you guys to know as a church is that when we were in the Hmong village, like Paul said, some of the elders cannot go to church, so it is important that we go to them, take church to them, tell them, because they don't have a service at home, so we can go to the elderly and just share Jesus with them, spend time with them is the most important thing, because one of the moms that I talked to say that I made her day just showing up, and I said I'm from America, so she's even more happy, and they haven't had visitor come there by their village, so she is very encouraged when we meet with them, like face to face, not like I said, not Facebook. Communicating face to face, telling them about Jesus. That's one of the things that I think is very important. And to encourage someone, I want just to, for you to step out in faith. I know that a lot of people just say, oh, I can go and do this, but if you don't actually step out, then that's just talking. You're not doing anything. And also to trust in God, because during this trip, I was so scared about flying. I said, probably we're going to stop somewhere in the ocean and not be able to go over there to China or to Thailand. So I was like so scared during that time.
I do want to just reiterate a huge, huge thank you. We were able to leave an offering with each ministry that we were able to participate with. And some of the offerings were a little bit more substantial, but those of you that prayed for us and that gave us financial support, you helped to give that offering to some of these ministries that are desperately in need and some that are just moderately in need, but each of them is in need of financial support. So a huge, huge thank you to our church and everyone who helped with that. Last question, maybe we could start with Linda. We're just going to ask this of everyone and work our way down, but how has your life been changed? And now that you're back in the United States, is there something that you would do differently because of this trip?
My life has been changed because I was given second chance to still do missions work. Something I would do differently is to always be ready to serve and don't wait when you feel like it. No matter what we face, God would be glorified by every aspect of our lives, and God's word would be proclaimed with the power and produce life changes.
How has this experience changed me is to continue praying. Prayer is a very important thing. And like I said, souls are still need to reach. We went around and see so many people needing the gospel. So a lot of people are just desperately needing people to reach out to them, even though we think, oh, they know God, but spiritually they're just dying without Jesus. So.
How has my life been changed is that my faith has grown much more in this trip, and because of the people that I met throughout my trip in Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai, the people there are blessed to have us be part of the ministry, and I'm also thankful for that. And I am blessed to join with many ministries like Freedom 418, New Hope Home, the Monk Church, and Home of Joy, Meeting Point, and with Micah and Morgan. And I'm just thankful for God for allowing me to take another step of faith and to share His love to other people.
I think to have a reflection of life, I think everybody needs to do that. Just take a step back and just give our time to God and to just fully trust in Him. And when we choose to trust in Him, He will keep His promise in every circumstance we are going through, no matter what.
The people I met and the experience I had there have forever changed my life. The staff of Freedom 418, the school we had been visiting, Hmong people, the translator, and everyone else that we came in contact with. They were just so amazing. I feel blessed to be a part of Micah and Morgan's project. Also going with a small group from church, it changes my outlook on life and strengthens my faith.
Being in Thailand has changed my life so much, and we are the first team to be in Thailand to help out the ministry, and it's such a blessing to be with them and help them out, to let them know that God will always support them, let them know that they don't need to worry because He has been there for them for the whole time. And I just want to thank my God Morgan for helping us throughout the mission trip.
One thing that I'm definitely going to do differently because of this trip is really just pray for missionaries. They really, really just need our prayer support. Just seeing Micah and Morgan, and I mean, they've left everything behind for this, and I've just seen how important missions work is and how it can really just change the lives of people there. And it was something kind of like, oh yeah, you know, I'll pray for missionaries, support them here and there. But I really want to make it, you know, a goal of mine to do it regularly, especially not even just the people in Thailand, but also missionaries who are in China totally different culture than ours. We had some unusual experiences in there. Just coming out of communism, they have a very different way of thinking, and it would be really difficult for me to go to China, do missions work there, just seeing the hardships that people would have in that country. Definitely want to make it a priority to be praying for missionaries and supporting them at all times.
We have said that we're going to make missions a part of our life, and we want to encourage our congregation to also make that a part of your life, whether it's just prayer or financial support or actually going on a trip. The goal at this point is to take another trip in 2 years, so 2017 summer, or I don't know, maybe we'll try and find a cooler time, but 2017 is the goal. If you are somewhat interested in participating in a trip in the future, I just want you to start thinking and praying about that, but also to start putting some money aside, because it is very expensive. I'm not going to lie to you about that, but it's completely worthwhile. There is one other person that's in the picture that is not up here because she's from our sister church down in Sloan Canyon. Her name is Candace, or Candy, and that's the way we introduced her because no one could say Candace apparently. And we just want to also encourage other churches to either participate with us in these mission projects or to take their own trips. But it's something that we are very blessed to do here at Harmony, and not every church gets an opportunity to do that. So that's another thing that we want to do, encourage other churches. You've got to hear the hearts of our people and the basics of our trip. We have one final video, and that is just to show you the ministry that we were able to do. Freedom 418, the English camps, working with migrant workers, cleaning a children's home, Pied and his family, and just praying, doing prayer walks with in some of the Buddhist temples. So the next video is for that, and we'll go ahead and go back down.